Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's Marking Ariana Free and I hope you enjoyed this video. In today's video we are going to be restyling the costumes that we used on the next step for their competitions. So the ones that they've used for regionals, nationals, internationals, as well as conventions and qualifier type events. So I'm just going to go through some of the costumes that I didn't like very much and just offer a suggestion to what I would have put them in instead. So I think we're going to start with season 3, and we're going to work our way up. Season 2 and season 1, I think I actually liked all of the costumes that were used. In particular, I really liked the stutter costumes. I liked the costumes for Unsinkable, boys costumes, the costumes for Rewind. So we're going to start with season 3, and the costume I didn't like in season 3 was Giselle's. Now Giselle stepped out last minute to save the next step and compete instead of Riley, because Riley's solo had been stolen by Ella, but Ella performed first. So if Riley had gone out and done the same solo as Ella, it would have looked like Riley stole it, but actually Ella did. So Giselle stepped out and did an improvised solo instead. Kind of improvised, kind of done, but not ready to go onto an international stage. Anyway, Giselle wore this kind of like pretty basic outfit, but she had these like fox eyebrow I have no idea what the eyebrows were for really. It just seemed like something a bit extra to add to make it a costume. I didn't like it. I don't think it fit the theme of the dance whatsoever. So what I would have actually had Giselle wear instead is just literally a plain black leotard with shorts, because if I'm thinking this girl came last minute and now she's having to step up, I don't think she'd have a pair of eyebrows in her bag ready. They probably would have said something. Chuck Anderson would have. We stand Chuck Anderson. But Giselle would have done her best and danced in basically nothing fancy. It would have been just all dance. Also for Giselle, I would have had her hair in a very low bun, kind of like what I've got now. Also for season 3, I wasn't a fan of the costumes in the swing number, and this number overall I'm not much of a fan of, but I thought because it was more of a performancey piece and it had a theme, it was set back between like the 20s and 50s, it was in the swing era. I think it would have been nice if they actually went full out with the costumes. So if they worn typical 20s to 50s style dresses, so you know, you've either got Bardot neck dresses or you've got ones that have sleeves but they kind of come to the knee length and they go out a little bit, because I think like even if the dresses aren't necessarily danceable, that fits in with your theme. So the movements would have had to suit the dresses that were worn, because that was the era it's kind of set. So I just think it could have been a little bit more on theme. I think they could have kept the pumps that they wore, because obviously they're a lot more practical to dance in, but an alternative would have probably been character shoes, because they're kind of similar to like kitten heels, which would have been worn a lot back then. And I think the boys, I would have liked to see them in their shirts like they wore, but having a tie with it, and the tie would be in the same colour as the girl that they're partnered with. So each girl would have a different coloured dress, all in the same style. And for example, if Noah was with Riley, then they would have had the same colour. Noah would have had a green tie and Riley would have had a green dress, for example. I just think that would have added a little something, kept it on theme, also kept them all linked with each other, and then James would stand out a lot more for being different, because they're really in tune with the time that they're in, and James is very in tune with the time that he's in. Then we move on to season 4, and for Elevator, I would have changed the costumes of these. I would have had it be pretty much the same style, so they have like a dark blue lace mesh leotard thing, but I wouldn't have had the long skirts, because I think they got in the way and they also took things away from the dance at times. I think it was interesting to see the rope and its lines, and sometimes it got lost between the dresses, even though the dresses look great when there's leaps and illusions and stuff. So it would have been a leotard in the same style as what they originally wore, probably the same colour, just with shorts instead with no skirt. And I also would have had their hair in a low ponytail, because I don't like it when they dance with the hair down at a competition. I just don't like it. I think like, yeah, you look pretty, but it's not practical. Also in season 4 we then have Bicicleta, and that was Noah and Rochelle's duet, which I also wasn't much of a fan of. I didn't really like the theme, and one of the biggest things I didn't like about it was Noah and Rochelle's costuming. I just felt like it was a bit odd, and I think it was a James Bond type theme dance. So what I would have had instead is to go more on the spy side of James Bond, rather than it being kind of I don't know, like vintagey feel. I would have had it more based on spies. So I would have had Rochelle wearing like a black unitard with mesh panels, and it would really hug her figure and you'd see all of her lines. And I think when she's doing super flexible things, it would have looked so much more like on theme, and just like you'd notice a lot more because she's not wearing just a random dress. And in terms of her hair, I would have had it slicked back into a straight ponytail, or like I said for Giselle, straight back in a low bun, so it's like she's there, she's not playing games, she's serious, it's all out of her face and she's ready. For Noah, I also would have had him wear all black. I probably would have had him wear like legging type trousers, like legging type things, or even you can get male unitards actually, so maybe a unitard as well. Or if he did want to go down the shirt and tie theme, then he could have still worn that, but I would have had it black rather than blue. Then we have season 6, because season 5 the only costumes they wore pretty much were for the video, and I really loved the video. I loved the concept and everything. So in season 6, the first outfits I would have changed are Summer and Amy's costumes for the convention. So what Amy wore for the convention, I really didn't like it. I didn't think it flattered her that much, honestly, and I wasn't a fan of the colour either. I didn't think that was too flattering, and it had a very weird cut, the top half did. So what I would have had Amy wear instead is a unitard, but it would have had one leg shorter than the other. It's asymmetrical, a much brighter colour that flatters her a little bit more as well, and it just is more acro based. I don't know what it was about the costume, I just wasn't a fan of it generally, and I just prefer something along these style instead. Like the thing that they wore when Acro Nation performed as a little group, Amy, Simone, Ty and the other boy Adrian, I think his name is, the costumes that the girls wore for that were really cool, so something along those lines for her solo would have been great. For Summer, because the song was Fire with Fire, I really wouldn't have had her wear purple. I don't think purple suited the song at all. I would have had her wear something very fiery, like reds and oranges. It would have been this style of costume. I'd also have her hair either in a ponytail or half up, half down, but with the top half pulled back, because I just think it was a lot in her face, and her eye makeup was very dark as well. I don't think it flattered her too well, honestly, and neither did the costume. And I think just wearing something red and fiery and having her hair really done up to fit the theme would have suited the song and suited the performance a lot better. For regionals season 6, I would have changed the costumes that Noah and Rochelle wore, but I'm not going to change them too much, honestly. I just would have had Noah wear a white tank top instead of black, because I felt like if it was about ghosts and everything, Noah was just too dark. I don't know, maybe we would have kept Noah in a dark tank top actually, but for Rochelle I just wouldn't have had her wear the white makeup because I don't think it flattered her. I know it was meant to make her look like a ghost, but I don't think you need to paint someone's face to have them do that. Like if Rochelle was good enough at telling a story and emoting, she wouldn't need to have the makeup to show she's a ghost. Or, you know, they could have just chucked a white sheet over and cut out eye holes, you know, she's a ghost. That's what they could have done. For the ropes routine in season 6, if you've seen my videos before, you'll know that this also wasn't a favourite routine of mine. I think it was just very messy. It wasn't cohesive when it was meant to be, and the ropes weren't really used to flatter the routine that much. I think the only thing I really liked on the ropes was Noah when he was on it by himself, but the costumes for this I also didn't really like. First off, I would have had all the girls have the same hairstyle, because I'm sure Piper was the only one with a bun and everyone else had half up, half down hair, and it's like, can we just be uniform in this? That would have really bugged me if that was my dance. But for the costumes, I would have had them wear red unitard type things, full length, covering their ankles, because when you're doing rope work and aerial work, it's killer on your ankles. And I also would have liked the boys to wear something in the same red pattern, because I often feel like the boys look significantly different to the girls in some routines, and I just would like them to look a bit more uniform. Finally, we have a season 7 dance, and this is one dance. Now, I loved the costumes for the girls, I really did. I think everyone had exactly the same hairstyle as well. Music to my ears. It was a flashy costume, it was great, but I will say, it annoyed me, the mesh panel that goes down here, how it is skin colour. It matched a few of the girls, but it did not match Kenzie. I would have loved it if they'd got a darker skin panel for Kenzie, because obviously she has darker skin. It really annoys me when... Oh, my earring just dropped.
Oh my god, I'm gonna cry, my god, my earring.
Oh, I've got to put the back in my earring, hang on. Yeah, it just really annoys me. Like, for example, I've worked with people who are ordering costumes for their kids, and they'll order like 100 pairs of tan tights, and it's like you've got 4 kids that are darker than tan, and they're like, oh yeah, but we need them all to look the same. It doesn't work that way, you know. It just makes them look odd because their top half isn't going to match the bottom half. So I just would have really liked it if it was either completely transparent and there just wasn't a thing there, or it was just a darker mesh panel for Kenzie, because, you know, it's just one of those little things. We're in 2020. But in terms of the actual costumes, I did really like them. I just didn't like the boys' purple shirts. I would have had them wear these style shirts, which are more common with ballroom and Latin dancing, but I think it would have really fit the theme, because they did have a few sections in the dance that were more kind of ballroom inspired and fusion, so having that low cut would have made them look so much more mature, and it would have been in the same colour, and it would have been just as sparkly as the girls. So it would have been literally like taking a sample of the girl's dress and putting it onto the boys' shirts. They would have been exactly the same. Would have looked great in my opinion. And also I would have laid off on the black eyeliner, because I feel like some of them just had a bit too much on. So that was me redesigning some of the costumes on the next step that I wasn't much of a fan of. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and a comment if you did. Make sure you subscribe, because I try and upload every week. Bye!